So Joe Manchin very famously said when we were debating Build Back Better, look. Stop with this stupid strategy of putting the traditional infrastructure bill with Build Back Better. Let's just vote for the original infrastructure bill on its own, and then I give you my word, we'll work something out with Build Back Better. That's what he said. Now, Joe Manchin is a liar. He likes to portray himself as a straight shooter. I'm just a good old West Virginia Democrat. He's a liar is what he is, because he didn't actually make a deal on Build Back Better, and he hoodwinked all the goofball progressives who took his word and Biden's word for it. Now, there were, I think, 6 of them, maybe 7, who did the right thing and said, I'm not voting for that bill until you put Build Back Better with it. Credit to them. All the other ones are Nat IQ, to say the least. Or they're in on the game and they didn't care that Build Back Better wasn't going to get passed. I'll leave it up to you to determine which it is. But now, Joe Manchin is letting his nuts swang a little bit now. So he cut an ad for a Republican in West Virginia. And look at what he says. Watch.
I've always said if I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it. And that's why I oppose Build Back Better. For Alex Mooney and his out-of-state supporters to suggest David McKinley supported Build Back Better is an outright lie. David McKinley has always opposed reckless spending because it doesn't make sense for West Virginia. Alex Mooney has proven he's all about Alex Mooney. But West Virginians know David McKinley is all about us.
I'm David McKinley, and I approve this message.
That's Joe Manchin bragging about tanking Build Back Better in an ad for the opposition party. This is the guy that Joe Biden and Ro Khanna tells us, guys, stop casting aspersions on him. Stop being so rude to him. He's coming from a good place. It's just a philosophical disagreement. Philosophical disagreement, my ass cheeks. Joe Manchin is swimming in cash from Republican billionaire donors right now. He's swimming in cash from oil and natural gas. The Intercept had a great expose on him. I think it was titled Joe Manchin's Dirty Empire, where they explain in a tremendous amount of detail how he's made millions off of dirty energy as he heads the climate committee. What? This is a man with every personal conflict of interest in the books. He's a man who has been legally bribed over and over by all the corporate forces and all the billionaire forces lined up against Build Back Better. He used his leverage in that situation to get paid. So he cares more about himself, his own bottom line, and his own campaign contributions more than he cares about the country. That's who Joe Manchin is. This isn't an ideological disagreement. This isn't a philosophical disagreement. And now he's adding insult to injury, making a fool of Joe Biden, Ro Khanna, and every single Democrat who is like, oh, he's acting in good faith and we'll make a deal. The argument now, I'm not kidding, they say we should have conceded more and sooner. You conceded everything to Joe Manchin. At the end, they probably just gave him a pen and said, write whatever you want and then we'll pass it. And he still does this. I'm going to campaign for a Republican and brag about how I killed Build Back Better. If I can't explain it, then I won't vote for it. If you can't explain it, you can't explain what you did without bringing up the fact that you're deeply corrupt. Because I have the numbers in front of me. How many times have I given you guys these numbers? Long-term care, so elder care. That was in the original Build Back Better bill. 80% support. Joe Manchin's against it. Modernizing the electricity grid, 74%. Joe Manchin's against it. Modernizing K-12 public schools, 73%. Joe Manchin's against it. Universal pre-K, 60%. Joe Manchin's against it. Free college, 59%. Joe Manchin's against it. Lowering the Medicare age, 58%. Joe Manchin's against it. Extending the child tax benefits, 53%. Joe Manchin's against it. In fact, there was a poll of West Virginia. And guess what? Not only are Democrats in favor of Build Back Better, independents are in favor of Build Back Better, and even Republicans are in favor of Build Back Better. Now, why is that? Because as Data for Progress did, when you tell people what's actually in the bill, they go, I like all that stuff. So here are the numbers on that. 68% of West Virginia likely voters supported Build Back Better. 90% of Democrats supported Build Back Better. 64% of independents supported Build Back Better. And 56% of Republicans supported Build Back Better. This is a bill that would have given a whole new industry to West Virginia. Joe Manchin opposed it. Why? Because he profits from the old, dying industry. That's why. There was another expose from More Perfect Union about how he's burning the dirtiest kind of energy. It's called gob. I think it's like the dirtiest coal there. And he's profiting off of that. And he gets a cut of another company that he sold to. The guy is deeply corrupt. And now he's adding insult to injury. He's rubbing salt in the wound. He played Biden for a fool. He played almost all of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, all but 6 or 7, for a fool. And we're still having a conversation about we should have been nicer to him. We should have held hands and sang Kumbaya a little more. No, the way that you get it done is like LBJ. The way that you get it done is like FDR. You twist arms. You make him pay a political price. There is no political price for Joe Manchin campaigning for Republicans and bragging about defeating what would have been the main accomplishment of the Biden administration. And they're just going to sit there and take it. Just like in that movie Tombstone. What's the famous line? You going to do something about it, or you're just going to sit there and bleed? They're just going to sit there and bleed. Merrick Garland should be investigating Joe Manchin, his wife, and his daughter because they're criminals. And we know they're criminals. There's a lot of evidence about how they're criminals. Joe Manchin's daughter caught dead to rights in emails talking about how we should price gouge over medicine because she worked for Big Pharma. Joe Manchin, with all of his personal conflicts of interest and corruption, which may have actually broken the law because I'm sure they're quid pro quos. Honestly, as a matter of principle, you should be investigating them and putting them on trial. But you could definitely use that as political leverage, and Biden refuses to. And nobody in the Progressive Caucus is willing to call a spade and say, look, you know why he did this? Because he's corrupt. That's why he did this. It's not an ideological disagreement. He's not just a centrist. The centrist position is in the center of the American people, and for Manchin, it would be the center of West Virginia politics, and that position is very clear. Pass the original Build Back Better. They want it. But he doesn't do it. And he's got this fake, virtue signal going on where he goes around and acts like I'm the only principled man in the country. No, you're not. You're the most corrupt. And you love the status quo more than any other Democrat. And it's beyond pathetic. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.